Welcome back to another episode of Slice and Dice, the e-commerce podcast by us here, the team at ClickSlice. I'm Josh, the founder of the agency, and we're joined by...
My name's Richard, and I head up the Google Ads team. It's good to be back.
Yeah, fifth time?
Fifth, I think.
Yeah, I'm losing track there. No, awesome. Hope you guys enjoying the content we're having specifically for Google Ads for Ecom brands. It's a massive, growing and popular topic right now in 2024 and beyond. And in this episode, we want to speak about what are the common mistakes that you see Ecom brands making when they're running Google Ads accounts? So that is the first question, the first segue into this episode.
Yeah, so there are lots of hurdles that advertisers need to overcome while they're setting up their accounts to make sure that they're as optimized as they can be. And obviously you don't have the data straight away to know whether it's perfectly optimized, but there are some basic things that you can make sure are in place to give you the best start. And I think it's just really important to pay attention to all of the configuration options and really understand what each of them mean, rather than just Google will try to encourage you to opt for its preferred options, and often that might be the best option for you. So it's not that I would advise that they're always a terrible suggestion, but it's just Google have their preferences and objectives, what they're trying to achieve, and you would hope that they're aligned with what the advertiser's trying to achieve, but sometimes they can be slightly misaligned, and another configuration might be better for you as an advertiser. So yeah, just make sure that you fully understand all of the setting options. And just as importantly, maybe even more importantly, is making sure that you have your conversion actions set up before you get started,
So
and that
important,
they
right?
are accurately set up.
Yeah.
And
as we discussed on the previous episode.
yeah, and that's just something that you see people make a mistake on with time and time again, and it's understandable because it can be tricky, and Google have made it easier and easier over time. The close integration with tools like Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager make conversion action configuration easier, but it is for most people still a bit of a stumbling block. But yeah, we've been doing this for many years, and always happy to help our clients with conversion tracking if they get stuck.
No, awesome. Like I said, we had a whole episode, a whole segment of an episode dedicated on conversion tracking, and a recent client we worked with said they had conversion tracking set up correctly for the last 6 months, and they were running it themselves in-house, and it turns out they didn't, and they pretty much wasted £60,000, which was a lot of money to waste. So if someone sets up the campaign correctly, got the conversion tracking done perfect, and they're running the campaign right, does that mean they're pretty much set up for success? Because I have seen a lot of companies that have poorly optimized landing pages, right? So it'd be good to hear a bit more on that from you in terms of your perspective, like how big of a deal is a poorly optimized landing page?
Yeah, a big deal. Setting up the Google Ads account is obviously just one half of the equation. So it doesn't matter how well that side of things is configured. If you're sending that traffic, which you would like to think is now highly optimized if you've paid a lot of attention to the setup, but you send that traffic to a poorly designed website or landing page, and then it doesn't convert, then you're just wasting your ad spend on traffic that's not going to convert as well as it could if you had a really sharp eye towards conversion rate optimization, and making sure that there's no kind of hurdles for the consumer to purchase. You want to make it as easy for them as possible.
Yeah, I think that's really important to touch on, because so many brands come to us, right, and say, yeah, I want to run Google Ads. This is my monthly spend. I want this amount in terms of revenue generated back, the ROAS, and I want this amount of products sold. And it's like, yeah, you look at the website and it's like, where's the add to cart button? Like, why is the add to cart button white when the background's white? Like, it doesn't really stand out. Like, having that borderline isn't enough. So again, we do a lot of this when we have these calls, right? We tell clients, look, we're happy to take this on board, but we recommend you make these changes yourselves in-house if you don't want to give us permission. And a lot of them, what we find is most ecom brands have like an in-house developer or in-house designer that made the website, and they're not the most responsive from my experience, and that can have a negative impact on the Google Ads, as we discussed already. So, at least connect the agency with the person who manages the website, or let the agency manage all parts, because the more control they have, the more chances they have of actually getting good results from the campaign as well. So what would you say is the most common mistakes you see brands making when it comes to tracking and measuring the performance of the campaign?
So, yeah, it's a really important topic, this, because if you're not tracking the right things or looking for the right performance signals, then there's no way you can, or it's much harder, should I say, to optimize your account. So I'll return to a topic that I've mentioned many times on previous episodes and earlier on this episode as well, is just about making sure your conversion tracking is set up properly and that you're tracking the right metrics. So not to be distracted by metrics that aren't crucial to your business. Don't focus on competitive metrics, how you're faring against competitors in any auctions, or getting sidetracked by things like cost per click, or just keep it simple and just always focus on those core metrics of return on ad spend, your ROAS. That's really what you should be focusing on. And the mistake that people can make, even if they know that they should focus on ROAS, is that they haven't set up the conversion tracking properly to make that ROAS valuable and insightful for you. So if you're assigning double the value for a sale than you should be, and you're telling ROAS to achieve telling Google to achieve a ROAS of 10, and it's showing that you're achieving a ROAS of 20. I mean, you'd be one of the best ecom brands in the world if that was the case. But you could easily, if you're inexperienced, you could think that as reality and think that you're doing amazingly well. So that just highlights how important it is to make sure that those things are nailed, and especially the earlier the better, really. Yeah,
and I think the reason why you touched on conversion tracking so much, it just shows how important it actually is.
And how common it is for people to get wrong and overlook.
Again, you get it wrong, you can pretty much kill your own business. So again, the reason we touch on it so much, hopefully just hammers home just how important it is. So even if you have conversion tracking set up for your brand, just get someone to double check it, especially if you've done it yourself, a DIY job, you watch something on YouTube. Things are changing all the time, things can break, and you never know, what can happen. So just keep a good eye on that.
Never watch things on YouTube for advice, especially when it comes to search marketing.
I had to chuck it out there, but I didn't want to deliberately directly say don't watch it. But I'm glad you said it, not me. So when I'm trying to get my YouTube record deal in the future, they don't dig up this video and say, hey, you said that.
The plaque's coming, don't worry.
Plaque right there, right? Nice little spot for it. So cool. We spoke about mistakes brands typically make, right? What about mistakes brands make when they're trying to scale their campaigns? Because I imagine that's a different process when a brand just launches a brand new campaign, right?
Yeah, so when it comes to scaling, you have to bear in mind that there's what I call like a reverse economies of scale when you're considering Google Ads. So it's a very understandable and common mistake for advertisers to kind of spend a few months refining their account, and they get things to a level where they're like, oh, this return on ad spend is really working for us. We're seeing a good number of sales coming through, and great. Let's just to the moon, start scaling up, and we can just increase the budget, and we'll just get more sales, and everything else will remain the same. But sadly, that's not the case with Google Ads, and generally you can expect once you've got a lot of the low-hanging fruit out of the way as far as optimizations are concerned, you can generally expect, as a loose rule of thumb, that the higher your budget, if you like, the more volume of sales you want to generate, the harder it becomes to maintain or improve return on ad spend. So it's important that you bear in mind that you might not necessarily be able to, if you're spending 10k a month and you're achieving a ROAS of 5, you might not be able to spend 20k a month and maintain that same ROAS. There are some exceptions in the earlier stages of a campaign or an account, when there are still lots of other optimizations and improvements to be made. As more and more data comes in, then it's very common for there to be situations where you can increase your budget and the volume of sales at the same time as improving your ROAS. And that's the glory days.
Everyone's dream, right?
When the graphs are going like that, when volume of sales is going up and ROAS is going up as well, then it's awesome. But things do tend to plateau a little bit over time. So yeah, and often that comes as a bit of a unwelcome surprise to advertisers. But
I think setting that right expectation from the start, that it can't just go up and up and up
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Like there has to be some drop off, and that is what we call the plateau, right? So
we're always really transparent
Yeah.
with clients when we discuss their prospects with them and what they might be able to achieve before we onboard them, and we let them know of this just to manage expectation.
yeah, and it's like what we say to all of our clients before we onboard them is like, Google Ads is very, very effective when you set it up correctly and you optimize it and you stay on top of all your ad groups and your campaigns. But it is not a magic bullet. You don't just run Google Ads and you just generate sales overnight. Like, it is not that straightforward. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Like I said, Richard has 19 years of experience running these accounts. And there's a big difference between someone just watching 1 or 2 videos on YouTube and then trying to replicate what we do at the agency. So yeah, that was a very interesting podcast. Lots of detail as usual with Richard. Lots of value.
I'm all about the detail.
Yeah, I feel like I say that a lot now in the podcast. A lot of value. I'm kind of blowing your trumpet a bit too much.
It's better than being the opposite, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like-
I'll take it.
Yeah, no, also. Cool. Well, once again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
See ya.